was just someone getting into late afternoon exercise.
And our first order of business.
All right, now it being about 6:30 on January 22nd, I call this meeting of the Easton Conservation Commission to order. First up, can we take care of the board business at the end? The Wheaton Farm?
He's not here.
Okay, perfect. Four Pond Way? Come on up. If you wouldn't mind signing in and just stating your name for the record, please.
Oh, I'm Andrew Langhausen.
How do you do?
Good. Thank you.
So many of them. $75 for my butters list for 2 people.
Oh,
They go
hey,
public hearing.
how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Okay.
Do you have a tripod?
Oh, sorry.
We're not in our usual.
Yeah, that works. Okay, well, I'll have to hold it.
All right.
Those are the 2 we have today.
In any event, my name is Tim Higgins, and I live at 4 New Pond Way. I don't know if everyone got up there, or you said you get up there.
I'm getting it.
Okay. Dead-end dirt road, privately owned and maintained by the owners. The town really has nothing to do with it. We got plowed out once about 3 years ago in that big storm, and they were very reluctant to do it. In any event, I've owned the dwelling since 1985. And during the time period, we made some minor additions, put on a second story, but overall, I've raised 2 children, built this barn back in the late 80s, early 90s, received a variance for it. What we're proposing to do is take out the existing, I call it a septic system because it has functioned all these years, which is located here, and then have a new, obviously modern, up-to-date septic system with a pump system, obviously new tank, pump chambers, cutting the concrete driveway, asphalt driveway, and bringing it down into this area here, which is actually all upland area. As everyone can tell, we are right on New Pond. Our lot, even though we have a 1.34 acre lot, about 70% of it is under the pond. So it's very difficult, and that's why we're asking for waivers. It's impossible for us to meet all the setbacks because of the postage stamp size of the upland area.
Yeah, you're inside the 200-foot.
Yes,
everywhere.
and I did show this, and here's the floodplain is right here. So the only part that isn't is this area right here. Since we've been there in '85, we've actually only had one flood, and that was before they replaced the sluice way on the dam. And we did have a good flood that 1 year. But we've already filed with the Board of Health. We went out there and very good. We had 2 great parks in this area here where the new leaching field will go. Frankly, we were rather surprised we got such good perks because the groundwater is rather high in the area, obviously living on the pond. We're not showing in the well, our current well again is located here, and we'll of course have to relocate it, and it will be located here. Our abutter Tiberius well is back here, well over 100 feet away. The Papagnos, who live further down the street towards the highway, are well off, so not near anyone else. As you are probably aware, the Conservation Commission owns everything on this side of the street. So.
Great. I guess just a quick question. Do you anticipate that the current system would fail Title IX?
It would probably, it would fail.
Title V, thank you. Title IX, totally different subject.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, it's just my wife and I now. We raised a family here. The children have moved on, and frankly, at some point in the near future, we'll probably be selling. That was just too big for us. So that's, I think, really the initiative behind doing this. Okay. There was comments from staff about flood storage lost, and we're not going to lose any, because what we're going to do is there's a minor higher grading in this area, and we'll peel off about 2 or 3 inches in this area, so it will be a wash, a similar wash as far as. I didn't really think of it that way, but it could be. So the erosion controls are also shown on the plan. We staked here, and we will be adding some, because when we do the well, you've all seen it, there'll be an outwash, so we will be adding erosion controls in the back here and right along this edge, so when they do the new well. Obviously, we'll do the new well first and have that fully functional before we move the septic system. The time frame really is going to be weather dependent. Again, with just my wife and I there, there's everything works fine now. We'd rather get it done sooner than later, but given the weather, if it stays this way, we're not gonna probably get to it till the springtime.
Understood.
So I think really that's my presentation. Any questions?
And do you have any concern about the erosion control for the well not being on the site plan?
It sounds to me like you're probably gonna be on site at the time of the work.
Oh, definitely,
So
yeah.
I think
You'll be able to handle it in the field?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think you might have a soil stockpiling area that
I-
you can use?
I talked to the driller, and he had suggested that I dig out a small pit, for lack of a better word,
Okay.
right about in this area here, and there's just enough, it would be like almost a trench-like to stay out of, because I mean, the resource area is here.
Right.
So I do have a very small, my property line is there, so I have a very small area here. And he said a small trench, that would, there'll be like a big, huge, like he called it a large filter, silk sock to put the into, and then the spoils would go in there as well.
Okay. Dewatering
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
for dewatering.
he was very cognizant, and I'll say he, because there's two people actually that I'm talking to, but they're both very cognizant. They realize they have to pull permits with the town to do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And they said that it's gonna be tight,
Yeah.
but it can be done.
Yeah. A dewatering could be an issue.
Yeah.
This close.
And the problem obviously is, given our lot, there's nowhere else to put it.
Right.
I know, that's,
Okay.
we've been very fortunate over the years.
Rory, any comments, questions?
Excuse me.
No, I was out at the property. I don't, I mean, as Mr. Higgins says, the property is not much place else to go on the
Yeah,
property.
pretty limited.
No?
I think you've read this, but the reason I didn't want to confirm the wetland line was because his wetland biologist identified sphagnum moss in the lawn.
Is that
He's a
the
smart enough guy that it probably was sphagnum moss.
Oh, it is.
is that the indicator of?
Wetland.
Yeah.
Obligate wetland species.
Yeah, but it's in the middle of existing lawn.
Not in the middle, but it's in the lawn, so it's outside of his wetland line.
Okay, outside of his wetland line, inside existing lawn.
So I just said use the wetland line for this. I
Filing.
recommend you use the wetland line just for this
Right.
particular, because you're gonna have to approve it anyways. It's a septic,
Yep.
septic repair.
Okay.
I don't envision doing
That's fine.
anything in the future here. I mean,
Yeah.
we put the second story on, geez, back in the early '90s, so there's not much else that we would. want
Yeah,
to do there.
you know, if especially if you guys are gonna be selling soon, more for what the future owners may want to do, just so we
Right.
know that it's just for this project. All right, that sounds good. Would you like to close?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
All
I
right.
have nothing else, Mr. Chairman, unless the board
Uh,
has any quick
I don't think we
questions.
have anything else. Any public comment on 4 New Pond Way? Seeing none.
Did you sign in?
I'm doing right this second.
Yep. Motion to issue permit to work in order of conditions for New Pond Way with the special conditions noted in the staff report dated January 18th, 2019 revised.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I know we have a sign now, but everybody's being audio and video recorded, so please act accordingly. Thanks, sir. Good luck.
Thank you for your time.
Come on up, Wheaton Farm Field Lease Renewal. How you doing, Kevin?
How are you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
How are you?
You mind just signing in, please, and stating your name for the record?
Kevin O'Dwyer, Langwater Farm.
Thanks for coming in.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Minutes, hearings, COC, Shagbark.
What do you think the Bay Road address is over there?
520 Bay Road is the barn.
Hmm.
For the barn.
There we go.
And give the folks at home just a little bit of context for what we're talking about.
Yep.
I just pulled up Wheaton Farm. It's a little bit of context, not to suggest you're using the whole property. So, as background, the Wheaton Farm license agreement was a 5-year license, and it's up for a single renewal of a 5-year, up to 5-year period. And at the meeting in December, the board that was present voted to extend under the same terms this license agreement, which is allowed within term C6. So Kevin knows we got that far, and then the question is, under the same terms, gives us the ability to modify them a bit if we want to. And so he's here to talk, because he's here to tell you about his property.
All right, take it away.
Sure, so we, I think we broke ground in 2013, it's the year we signed the lease. And we started just a few acres that year, I think maybe tilled 5 acres or so. Since we've added a few more acres every year, and now we're using most of the open space there. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 acres eventually I think we can use.
Yes, we'll modify it.
Mixed vegetables, all certified organic, from sweet corn to tomatoes, potatoes, beans, spinach, everything, you name it. We've grown quite a bit there. We are obviously growing in accordance with organic principles. We're certified by Bay State Organic Certifiers and compliant with all the USDA organic guidelines. Going forward, we have some plans to till an additional few acres just north of what we've already tilled on what would be the west side of Bay Road, so right in front of Flynn Farm. There's a few more acres there that are included in the lease, so we plan on breaking ground there in the next, well, springtime, hopefully. Another 3 or 4 months here we'll break ground, allow some time for the sod to break down, and then hopefully crop a section of that later in the summer for a fall crop. What else can I say there? We've added water, some utilities to the large field just to the south of the federal home on the west side of Bay Road. We've got a water line there, and we would hope to add another water service on the community garden field at the north side of that field, so that it would be right between that field and the field that we plan to till this coming spring. So another water service there. And just more of the same going forward, more mixed organic vegetable production.
Great. I guess Andrew, Kevin, anything in the lease that comes to attention as far as being addressed or changed or modified?
I read these things pretty carefully, and it said that there was going to be a 5-year management plan, and it's basically the same management plan that was in there. So just wanted to clarify that
using the existing management plan
is not a bad thing.
Okay, I think I'm on board with that.
There was something about crop rotation, and so we added a statement about crop rotation guidelines should be followed consistent with the organic farming certification that he has.
With those standards, which we're inspected on every year. So every year we submit our maps and our crop plans to the organic certifiers to make sure that we're in compliance.
Interesting.
And Kevin can probably speak to an issue about being an organic farmer on public land.
Yeah, how's that experience been?
Well, it's good. I mean, we're happy to be on the farm. It's a beautiful spot, excellent soil, stone free, relatively stone free, at least compared to what we have on this side of town here. But there's been challenges, with sort of negotiating the use of the space along with the public. It's a little bit of a tricky spot because we don't want to alienate any of the community members. It's been used as a recreational area for a long time, and I think that's great and wonderful. We are now sort of caught in the middle of these new federal food safety regulations that have come down in the last couple of years. It's FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, which is sort of forcing us to keep the public and wildlife out of the production fields. So you've seen us move in that direction at the farm here at Langwater with the fencing to keep wildlife out of the field. So we're supposed to be doing our best to keep that from happening and minimize the contamination risk of to the vegetables, to the food. So that's been a little challenging in an area that's been used, as by, four-wheelers and horseback riders and dog walkers. So, I mean, nothing, there has been no serious issue as of yet, but I sort of foresee, down the road, we're going to have to maybe make a little bit of a stronger push to try to keep people outside of the cropped area.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that leaves a fair amount of open space there. I mean, we're talking about 20 acres out of 1,200, I think, is the conservation area. But perhaps, down the road, some fencing would be in order.
Mm-hmm.
The commission would approve of that. But I still think, we could leave the margins out so that passersby could walk alongside, and it could still be a great
One
spot.
of those regulations where they didn't necessarily take into account farming on public lands.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think a lot wasn't taken into account. The broad sweeping regulations that are sort of hard to apply to farms. Farms are of all scales and natures, and these are blanket regulations that we all have to comply with. So yes, there's plenty of challenges there.
Well, it seems like you guys have been good stewards of the land, so hopefully we'll be able to work together if challenges like that arise.
Great, thank you.
The
Anything
only
else?
other thing was that when we wrote this lease in section G, they had the monetary values identified and so what he's doing for protection is what he's doing for leasing is providing services for the town, and he had offered to you might want to read that so Mike can see it too. He had offered to give me an update on what those values are in 2019 dollars. See, it's up in G at the top.
Yep.
And I don't want you to, I want, if we know the current value, we probably should acknowledge
I've
it.
adjusted them for 3% inflation compounded annually, and I come up with those numbers there from 2680, 2898, tilling, annual tillage of the community garden, and incorporating cover cropping the land as well. Goes from 700 to 754, and then we put a value on the maintenance that we do around the garden there. So, what was it? Just in the effort of thoroughness.
Oh, okay. All right. So we used actual inflation, not the 3%.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Roughly.
He was doing the math in his head.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, when I read this, I was like, oh, that's kind of high. Okay. Great. So we'll incorporate those updated numbers
And
in
those
the
updated
lease as
numbers
well.
are
2889 and 754.
okay. And is there a C number?
Yeah, the mowing around the community
Oh, yeah.
garden bi-weekly is 500.
Okay.
For the season.
About 10 times or so.
Perfect. Great. Do we need to make a motion to accept these changes to it?
Yeah. Will we be able to print it? Or do you want to add that's value, and then we talked about the water, but I don't think the water comes in here. There was a water agreement. The water agreement says you'll pay for water, but the community garden had a meter put in for water, and one season before I got here.
One season we there was a couple of years there that were pretty dry. And we had some drought issues, and we asked if we could use some of the water in exchange for paying the bill for the quarter in which we used the water. And
from that metered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So community garden wasn't, so I thought that was just, the way things were. So I've given him the bill, and now I'm gonna have to take the bill back and pay for it out of the community garden because he's getting this year, or you're getting
we did not use water this year, and we will be getting a new
meter for next year, so that.
Are we talking water was not used in 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Last year and this year.
The present bill. So that's just you have two groups using this property next to each other, the community garden, which the Ag Commission supports the payments of,
Mm-hmm.
and your tenant.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you keep track of when you use the water, so I guess we'll just address it as it
Yeah.
comes up. Do they get the quarterly bill? for
Yeah.
that? Okay, great.
I think going forward, our plan would just be to get our own hookup there
Yeah.
with our own separate meter.
Okay. Very good.
And the community garden can afford that.
Okay.
So, the change, I don't know if we can make changes to the lease agreement now, or if we should maybe we should have you both sign it later, based on
As
these
is.
conditions?
Oh yeah, based on the updates.
Yeah,
Okay. So we'll motion to accept the changes discussed, and we'll sign it at the end of the meeting, or later tomorrow.
are you free after the meeting? You are? If it leaves at 5:10, if we're done at 7:20?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, okay,
We just have to go with the changes.
okay.
I could also tomorrow morning. I'm busy, but there's a few. I could also pop in like Friday.
Okay.
Sign it.
So you're
One
around?
person, I mean, yep.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, I can't speak for Rory. What your schedule's
I
like?
think only,
No,
I
it
think
needs
only you
to
have
be
to
signed by the
sign.
chair.
Oh, all right, perfect. All right, good deal. If it's ready after the meeting, awesome. If not, we'll catch up this week. All right, so motion to accept the changes discussed on the Wheaton Farm lease renewal.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks.
You know what, the one thing that I'd like to see, and I'm not putting it on Kevin, maybe it's more on the ag, is there a way that we can communicate to the public
You just added two things.
when the fence, when it comes such a time that, you have to put that fence, to kind of better educate people that, hey, you're not doing it to alienate them, you're doing it because of bureaucracy. Is that something that can be added to the kiosk, to the website, to social media? Somewhere, is there a means to communicate that to the public, that
Yeah.
this isn't them being onerous, this isn't nothing to do with Kevin and the feelings of him and the community, but
right.
satisfy, there must be some way that.
Yeah, I feel like we could probably come up with some signage
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
put on the fencing,
Yeah, just
like the
something
access
again,
points or something.
Just to keep the harmony that is there.
I mean,
Well, as we
I
know,
think-
communication's very important.
I think that Langwater Farm has garnered quite a positive reputation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
You don't want to
I think
alienate anybody.
I think if, it just says, listen, we're supporting Langwater Farm's, desire to be, compliant with organic farming regulations, and as such, please be respectful of the fields, I think that's.
Well, that sounds good, slap it on the sign. That sounds great. Beautiful, done.
Yeah, there we go. You're done. All right, you've been promoted. You're chief sign creator.
I am a wordsmith, so we're.
That sounds great, though. I mean, it's something,
Yeah.
I want to be sensitive to that.
Oh,
issue.
yeah, absolutely, but it's, want people to know what's going on.
Yeah, we could probably, post something on our social media. You might see some changes. Well, this isn't being done right now, clearly, but
Oh, yeah.
when the time comes, we could put some kind of a message together. I'm sure
Yeah.
that would make
Not budget
sense.
for this year, but
Yeah.
perhaps in the
Yep.
next couple within this lease agreement.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
All right,
Okay.
awesome. Thank you. Good to
Very
see
much.
you.
Hey,
Have a
thank
good
you.
evening.
Yep.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for everything.
Hope spring comes early.
Take care.
Thank you. Me too.
I know. We need it.
Oh my
Nice to
lord.
meet you.
We need it so bad.
All right,
Thank
take it easy. 37 Greenfield Street. We gotta revise. Good evening.
How you doing, Peter?
Do you have, the, phone notifications?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Just the certificates, the white
Yeah.
copies.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
I hope so.
I sure hope so.
Excellent.
Just being honest, I haven't opened the folder.
This is prior to the changes. If you want to read it, if you want to give it to Mike.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but it's the changes we talked about tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's the changes. All right, please introduce yourself and tell us about your project.
Alrighty. Peter Lyons with Collins Engineering, representing the owner at 37 Greenfield
Mm-hmm.
Street. This is a notice of intent for a septic repair on an existing 4-bedroom home. Quick overview of the property. We have on-site wetlands in the rear of the property and a drainage ditch shown in the blue. The 100 and 200 foot buffers to the ditch shown. Existing septic comes out of the front of the house, below the slab, to a septic tank to a failed field in the front yard. One problem we're contending with, this plumbing originates at the front of the house and then drops below the slab. So if we were to pick it up out front, the tanks would be too low, they'd be in the groundwater. So what we're doing is raising the tanks, coming out through the back,
Excuse me.
and we kind of have no options but to locate the tanks on the back of the house. We do manage to keep the 50 feet from the resource area. We'll have a 1,500 gallon pump chamber or 1,500 gallon septic to a 1,000 gallon pump chamber to a slightly elevated leaching bed up in the front yard. This area now is all existing lawn. We're not anticipating any tree removal. It's all, moderate slope currently, so you're really not even gonna notice any change, all said and done. Couple things, we show conservation posts provided in 3 locations along the existing tree line. We show 8 blueberry bushes to be planted out along the wetland line. Erosion control is shown around the whole project, being a 8-inch straw wattle. We show our stockpile areas out in the front yard, as well as dewatering pit details and a location out by the proposed system. Both of those are outside the 100-foot buffer. We couldn't quite get outside the 200 because it doesn't exist on the site. Overall, it's pretty straightforward septic repair. Any questions, concerns from the commission?
All right, so could you just repeat for me again the reasoning why we couldn't have the tanks out front?
Alrighty, so the existing plumbing it's actually located at the back of the house. It drops down the wall at the back. And what it does now is, runs under the slab and comes out here. So if this were, it actually goes under the whole slab before coming out at the front. So the option would be
like under the whole house?
Under the foundation, yes.
Wow.
So it drops down here, goes under the foundation to the existing tank.
Okay, so it's not like you're moving the connection point from the front to the back. It's
Exactly.
basically out
yes.
back.
So
Okay.
we will be abandoning the existing pipe under the slab,
Yeah.
and it's already coming down the back wall. So rather than we can't have a pipe at knee height going through the basement. So that doesn't work. So we got to come out of the back of the house. There's really no way around that. And again, we're contending with the groundwater out front. So if we were to use the existing, we'd be below the groundwater with the tanks in the front. So
And
Still have to pump up.
yeah, we'd
Yeah.
still have to pump up,
Yeah.
but it's just
is the location of it relative to the back of the house? Is that because of setback from the foundation or from the porch?
this distance here.
Yeah.
Yes, we need 10 feet to the tanks off of the foundation.
Okay.
There's no foundation on the porch.
Correct, but you can't dig an 8-foot hole right up against the porch or it's gonna fall into the hole.
Mhm.
So, you end up with about a 7-foot hole, so that's about as close to the porch as you wanna go before you worry about the
Gotcha.
porch falling into the hole.
Yeah, we don't want that.
So that's more of a construction issue.
Mhm.
And, you're really not gaining anything if you were to move the tanks up a little bit further. There's still
Yeah,
gonna
'cause
be-
you're still gonna have that bend in the pipe coming out the back
Yeah,
to get
that's
around
to
the
get
porch.
around the steps. It's not practical to go, over here and come out, because then, again, it's a finished basement. We're trying to take it as soon as we can and get that plumbing outside.
I did speak to the health agent, and he said that if you could put the pipe curve on the other side of the septic tank, that, so if you move the septic tanks into the 50 feet setback.
In this way?
Yeah, and you put the curve in the pipe on the other side of the septic tank, that you end up with a lot less solids, a lot less likelihood to be clogged.
True.
And if you were willing to do that.
So if we did what?
Move the tanks to where the bend is.
I think what
Okay.
Put the first tank here,
Yeah.
and then the second one like this, so it's.
Oh, to eliminate that elbow.
Right.
The elbow's is on the other side of the so it's.
Yeah, at this point, it's,
Yeah.
you assume it's all liquid discharge.
Right.
You're not trying to get
Right.
other stuff
You wanna
through the
correct-
bends in the pipe.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, they're going to be digging in the 50-foot.
Yeah, I mean,
As
either,
The
is.
less bends, the better.
either way is really acceptable. We propose a clean out before the bend. It's pretty common to have, but yes, the straighter of a run we can get, the better.
What do you guys think?
Straight is definitely better. Just
Already disturbed
eliminating one
property.
thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't think the 5 feet's gonna.
No.
big deal.
no, not as Peter said, already there. So.
Yeah, if you're already going to be digging, and if it's going to result in a better system.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be a little bit more work in the 50 foot, but
Not
I
much.
think you end up with a better system.
The other issue, which I don't know a whole lot about, is the delivery of the tanks themselves. They might be placed here so the truck can back straight up. I don't know if they have the room to
right.
swing to drop the tanks.
Maybe what we can do is we can word the motion such that you have the option, if it's feasible, to move the septic tank to
provide
the bend.
a direct route to the
Yeah.
tank. Sure.
Yeah, so we'll leave it so you could do either.
Okay.
Because if we say move it over, but then you can't.
Sure.
I mean, it's something that Andrea could probably
Yeah.
adjust in the field, but we might as well just word it so you have the flexibility.
Yeah, I guess as long as we written somewhere have that permission to be within the
Mhm.
50, it'll end up just being whatever the contractor seems, the
Right.
most feasible.
Okay.
Is it possible to discuss it in the office and come to your best judgment and give us a revised plan? Because the contractors I've experienced do whatever you tell them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Again, having that bend really isn't the end of the world. It's not like it's gonna not work. So, I don't know.
So
It's up to the
can we issue a
commission.
decision pending the final plans, and either one would be acceptable to us?
If feasible,
Yeah.
move it
Yeah.
if feasible.
Yeah.
And if it is
Yeah.
feasible, these guys usually make their can
Yeah.
Yeah.
make
We'll
the
get it to
decision
you.
a couple days before
Yeah,
we issue.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah,
Because we have time to issue the decision. but-
right.
Well, that being said, we can make revised plans. We'll show the tanks over here, and then if anything, the tanks will just be becoming more compliant.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, that's fine.
That's actually true.
And I guess obviously you could probably put this on there. I don't know if it's if it's any kind of standard practice, but you could show the tank at the bend and then just say alternate location up to this point. You could just have like a shadow box or something
Yeah,
potentially.
I mean, if it can't go here, it's gonna go there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, we'll word it so you have the flexibility.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other concerns? Nope.
No, I guess I just note that the so Andrew, you would define that intermittent stream as a type 3.
Yep.
So it doesn't have the 100 and 200 foot. It just has the 25 foot.
25 foot. Yeah,
Yep.
no
So
risk.
you're well outside of that. So no concern around the intermittent stream type 3/drainage ditch.
Okay.
Great. Do you guys have anything else on this one?
The blueberry bushes are in the woods as opposed to in the lawn.
Like in the woods or on the edge?
In the woods.
I think they're in the woods.
Yeah,
Does it make?
That's
Is it high bush? Does it make
I
a
don't
difference?
know
I mean, you see the low bush blueberry in the woods all the time.
Yeah, I mean the high bush do better in the
Oh yeah, in the sun.
in the sun, and because he has because he has, lawn right up to his wetland line anyways, you're not really, if the purpose of the waiver is to create a native,
Yeah.
barrier that doesn't exist now, that,
Yeah, I'd prefer to see them at the edge of the lawn.
Just pull them right up to here.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
Same 8 count.
So,
And
because you see how close your wetland line is to the lawn?
and that's
The
north
idea is
too,
to
so
create
at the edge
separation.
they'll get great sun there.
Okay. So I'll change the blueberries and scoot the tanks over
Okay.
15, 20 feet.
Would you like to close?
Please.
All right. Any public comment on 37 Greenfield Street? Seeing none, motion to issue permit to work in order of conditions for 37 Greenfield Street with a couple of changes to the plan. We're allowing for the flexibility for the septic tank to be located at the bend as shown on the current plan. And whichever place it gets placed, we would just ask for an updated print. And also that the high bush blueberry shrubs be placed along the edge of the lawn, not inside the wooded area.
Sure.
And also the special conditions as noted in the staff report dated revised January 18th, 2019.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks.
All right. How many copies of the plan do you need?
2.
Just 2 paper copies?
And post it to the web, please.
Alrighty.
If you wanna talk to Mark Taylor beforehand, and he has more suggestions, that's cool too, but.
Yeah, no, we should be all set. Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right,
Have a
much.
good one.
See you again, Peter.
Yeah.
Yep, take care.
Happy New Year. Alright, what do we got? Alright. 9 Shagbark Road. Shagbark, what a name.
No.
Good evening, Mr. Zoo, how you doing?
Good, good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We had all good holidays.
Thanks, you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. It was brief.
A flash in the pan.
Yeah, it was really brief. I seem to go quick. The grandkids didn't show up, so.
You have, a butter notification?
Yes, but I will ask for a continuation on this because I'm working with an abutter that is to the side that may allow us to move the system even further so that I can give you a plan that we'll actually use for the construction. This has already been approved by the Board of Health, but I'd like to talk to the neighbor. He had given us indication that he will work with us, because if we can slide the system a little closer to the property line, we will eliminate the wall and then reduce the amount of fill that we're gonna need on the driveway side, on the driveway side, right? Because I have to be 10 feet from the property line, and I cannot grade onto his lot. But we met with him on the property, and he said, yeah, he would allow us to grade on his lot and continue his grading into 9 Shagbark. That would allow me to eliminate the wall on his side.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to, rather than get approval and then have to come back and to amend it, and chances are we're not gonna be doing the installation between now and February 4th.
That sounds good. Oh, why did that just pull up? I don't know why that looked a little bit different.
So,
All right, so just continuing this one.
Request that we continue the hearing until February 4th.
Okay, great. All good?
Yeah.
All right. Motion to continue 9 Shagbark Road to our February 4th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Right after the Super Bowl.
My daughter invited me to go.
Oh.
Yeah, she lives down in Atlanta. So I took the bait. She says, "Oh, but the room on board is $4,500." She said,
Yeah, there you go. Oh, she got you good.
No, but really though. So they have no kids. She and my son-in-law, they have no kids, but they live in a 5-bedroom home. So they're actually contacted A&B.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That whole week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, just make their mortgage payments for a couple of years doing that. That's awesome. Very good. Well, good to
Thank
see
you
you.
very much.
Thanks for coming
Good to see you.
down.
Appreciate it.
So, I thought you continued 33 Prospect, so
Yeah.
I didn't put it on the.
Yeah, that's fine, because, as you know, the work that was done on town property,
Yes,
that part of the work is actually endangered natural heritage. So we did get correspondence from Natural Heritage saying that they want to, even though it's through an enforcement, they want to assert their jurisdiction.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
we send them the payment last week.
okay.
All right, so now we're in holding mode until we hear back from
Yes,
them.
so, yeah, they told me, you can't go forward.
Yeah.
And they were actually supposed to forward that email to your office. I don't know if they did or not.
I didn't notice it.
So,
I'm wondering, you're the second person to say today that you emailed stuff to me that I'm not seeing.
yeah. Well, they were supposed to, but maybe they were waiting for the check to clear first.
Yeah, maybe they went on vacation. That's our land back there, so
Yeah.
maybe this will be an opportunity for the Conservation Commission to actually participate in a natural heritage review and see what it's like.
Okay. All right.
In the meantime, Mr. Visconti, Nick Tavares, you're be familiar. Remember, we said you can roof the addition, but not any more than the addition. Well, we were pretty explicit in passing that word along, both myself and the building inspector. But the roofer didn't hear it, so he, when he roofed the addition, he also roofed that peak adjacent to it. Not the entire roof, just the peak adjacent to it, so up and around. Given the direction you provided at an earlier meeting, I charged a $300 fine for disobeying your direct orders. But I only charged it for a single day. I saw the work. I sent this on a Thursday or a Friday. I saw the work the following Monday had been done, but the work was done. So there was no continuing work. So I only charged a single violation, the second single violation. I understand this system of how to write fines.
Yes.
Okay.
And so hopefully all the other work has remained ceased.
I will say, I am 1,000%, as a matter of fact, as Mr. Langhouse will verify for you, when they wanted to fix the light post on the driveway, told them, no, you can't touch it, it's in the jurisdiction, and there's, it should stay that way. This one here, it's really a miscommunication. I cannot vouch for you, because they were paranoid doing any work. But between Angela was very, Andrea was very clear in her communication, and I said yes. And then we talked to, I actually sent that email to DeBarge, okay, and he emailed me back and told me that the contractor had not completed the application properly. So I think that's where the contractor, Alan, said, okay, I'm going there to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah.
And the reason that they stopped on that side was they believed, they explained to Paul that they needed to do that to tie the addition roof. Otherwise, water will be coming from that one, and so that's why they didn't do the other side. The side that they did was to make sure that the addition that you allowed to happen have a protection. That's really it.
Okay.
So, but Paul told me that he did not issue that permit, and then the contractor was fined and paid.
Contractor was fined by the building inspector.
Right.
Both
And-
fines were paid today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the contractor was fined
All right.
for that. So it wasn't. I will vouch that
Oh,
that was
it's-
wasn't an screw. That didn't happen.
Okay.
It was well.
Since we have them here, what are we doing about the foundation on the part of the addition that's been taken down? I mean, that's still in the ground.
Right.
It's still above the ground at about 2 feet or 18 inches.
Right. So what we were gonna do after I get a matter of fact, there was some stuff that the Natural Heritage wanted me to show, reflect on the plan, and we are gonna do the drainage work in the front, well, to help the town. So that was all. That's all gonna be part of the package once I get a direction from Natural Heritage, so you have a complete.
Yeah, I know we
record.
can't do anything right now, and
Right.
and I really
No.
don't want you disturbing
Right.
Yeah.
now.
Right,
but
it's all
till we
frozen.
have a whole plan.
It's
I'm
all
just-
frozen, so that's.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I will take care of that, what I was gonna do is just fill it in,
Okay.
instead of trying to do excavation there, fill it in, and then stabilize it, leave it alone. You
Okay.
know, but I will have a good plan for you to
Okay.
address that.
All right. Thanks for the update, guys.
If it
So-
ends up being a patio, do you want it to be pervious pavers? Or do you want it not to be a patio?
I don't want it to be a patio.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's me.
agreed.
It's right outside the door, so. Okay. There's some direction.
Was there a door on the original plan?
I don't
Yes.
know.
Okay.
Is there a door? I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a
There is-
door, there's a
there is
door
a rear
there,
door,
that
yeah.
half addition, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
door
yeah.
there.
Yeah, there's
there
a
is-
door.
There is a rear
Yeah, I
door
couldn't
there.
remember.
I'll wait to see the whole plan.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So I will pull a nice point,
So
we're
it-
going in the right direction, I'm telling you, we're going in the right direction.
Okay,
Right? So I asked that we continue that to the 4th, assuming that I can get our Natural Heritage to wrap it all up.
okay.
All right?
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot for
Thanks for coming in.
appreciate
Have a
it.
good night.
All right, have a good one now.
All right.
If you know a good chiropractor, let me know, I've been trying to get a good one.
Oh, I got one for you. I was there this morning.
Yeah, where's that?
In Easton, right on 138.
Health
Yeah.
Solutions.
Yeah.
I've been there too.
You see Health Solutions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr.
Mine-
Todd.
Because
He's
the
great.
one that I went to, he screwed, I laid up for 4 days.
Oh man, no, he's had me like migraine free for like 3 years. It's yeah.
Easton Solutions?
Easton Health Solutions.
Easton Health Solutions. All right, thanks.
Check it out.
Have a good night.
I've got 3 brothers who are chiropractors.
Oh, no kidding.
And I still went to that guy.
So do they have like back cracking competitions when they're all hanging out, or
No.
no?
It's not in our best interest to be a patient when they're in competitive mode. 5 Picker Lane, we could do really quickly. They put the fence on the plan. So there you go.
Okay,
That's,
that's it.
that was it. That was all you asked for, and
And it's
the
done.
continuing conditions were 7, maintain the vegetative management plan, 9, no further alteration, and 52, no debris in the wetland.
All right. Any public comment on 5 Picker Lane? Seeing none. Motion to issue certificate of compliance with the continuing conditions as Andrea noted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. You want to hang out for a few minutes, or you gotta get out of here?
No, we can, if we got 5 minutes, we can.
All right.
I was gonna say on the minutes, let's see what Rory came up with. No, I came up with stuff.
Oh, you want us to? This is a test.
No,
Mr. Chase's name is spelled incorrectly throughout.
oh, that's true. I didn't catch that. That's a good one.
Caulfield's name incorrectly?
No, Chase.
Chase.
Chase,
Oh,
Jonathan,
that's,
ACE is the correct spelling.
oh, wow.
So that was in the December 17th. We didn't
Correct.
have anything.
Oh, that was me.
That was all I found.
November 19th, at the top of page 3, there's a, Dave Kleiner referred to the building as a 16-bedroom apartment, it says. I think we should add the word building to 16-bedroom apartment building.
That's the next town over where they had this.
So I don't think it's actually a 16-bedroom apartment. So it just said it was a minor change. And that was it for me. So I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for the 19th of November and the 17th of December with the minor changes as noted.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gosh, I don't get the second many things around here.
I forgot I'd make a motion here.
Let's see.
Can I ask for a quick verification of the sign, proposal? You may have thought that these were, in manufacture by now because you, I think, approved them many
Mhm.
months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But with our Cracker Jack aid, I wasn't able to find your approval in the minutes.
Oh.
So unless you know exactly when you did it, and we can modify the minutes, you might just want to redo it.
I make a motion to allocate up to $17,589.38 for the signs, replacement of conservation signs, to the vendor Sign Design.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Yeah, we got that.
Signs.
January
even second that
22nd.
I know.
Now I can send it in for signatures so the contract is written.
Great. Do we have an idea? Have you been in contact with them or?
Tish was doing this for me, so
Ah.
I'll introduce myself.
And
very
the CPA application, well, I got 2 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Woohoo!
No, I'm saying, so what do we, we're on the Tufts Farm since I'm on that.
So, first of all, we did get historic so Tufts Farm. You know Tufts Farm.
Mhm.
You know that there's a house and 3 outbuildings.
Yep.
4 outbuildings, the workhouse, the work shed, the barn,
The kennel.
and the kennel. We did get we got the approval of historic to issue a demolition permit, but we have to get it. And I have to coordinate with Michael Lukes, our tenant, can give us some product, but we have to pay for other product. So the demolition is not part of the CPA. But in talking to folks then, the Conway School, remember, was going to give
Yeah.
us the master plan for
That's right.
how to design the property. He's thinking about flower gardens. He's thinking, we have orchards listed. He's got fencing all over the place. How to make it all work
Mhm.
and still have his private space. So we got that concept plan being paid for by your $7,800 donation or gift or fund, whatever, to Conway School. This is to take that concept plan and have a structural engineer actually evaluate the conditions of those buildings and include the residents in that, so that they can tell us what needs to be repaired and and the prioritization of what needs to be repaired. There hasn't been a capital improvements plan done there in a very long time. And I'm concerned that the monies you get for the rent will be eaten up inside the residence, and we may not have money because CPA can never do that, but they might be able to address funding the outside buildings, both for the historic nature of the farmstead
Mhm.
and the publicly accessible. Michael Lukes, our tenant, is welcome to the idea of having this be more of a educational farmstead where folks come and maybe
like all
opens it
sheep
up.
pasture.
Maybe, the way sheep pasture could have been,
Mm-hmm.
if it was really a farm.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, there's some people who say that. 3 or 4 times a week, a year, or something like that.
Sure.
So, so this was to take the concept plan and make it a little more clear as to what actually needs to be done and how it's taking the vision and giving it to an engineer and tell us now how do we build it.
Do we have a concept plan yet, or?
It's coming April. The students are coming in the end of this spring semester, April to June.
Mm-hmm.
They'll like to do 2 charrettes, two public sessions where they talk. They'd like to interview you guys first
Mhm.
as to what you'd like to see at Tufts Farm. They'd like to interview the tenant as to what he sees there, and then get public ideas on what could be there, and recognize that the Tufts Farm is a piece with a whole lot of flyaway pond behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses the backfields that you don't see very often.
Mm-hmm.
He uses them occasionally, and so there's the ability to sort of move fencing around and stuff.
Cool.
So it's
Put a dirt track in there
yeah.
for bikes.
For pedal bikes, yes,
Pedal
of
bikes.
course. Yep, BMX.
So any other questions on that?
No,
No.
just want to get as much info as I can so I can be
Yeah, it's
prepared
pretty
for the.
Yeah, we want you to be smart, man.
Yeah.
This is,
Well, smart. Maybe smarter. I'm already smart. I thought.
yeah, even smarter.
There you go.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. Hey, I know you got to fly. Good seeing you.
That's it. Have a good night.
Thanks, Mike.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, same here,
Michael.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
We don't have a quorum now, so.
Right. So. Oh, right, for extending permits and order conditions. Well, 55 Pond Street, we want to hang out on that anyways.
Yeah, they're not ready
Right.
to extend, so that's okay. Deborah Lee doesn't actually need an approval, it's a plan modification.
So that's something you can.
It's something I can approve.
Great.
And the only change is, that the vernal pool is here and the 100-foot, this is lot 4. The 100-foot line to the vernal pool is around here, and he's gonna he was on the plan that was authorized, there is a picket fence along this line here to reflect that this is part of the conservation restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've asked for 2 bounds to identify the conservation restriction is back here and here, and it continues over here on lot 3.
Okay.
So it's to help define
The
your
line.
back area. This conservation restriction is actually in with the Board of Selectmen. You signed it back in November, and I know it's a little, I know there's been a time delay in between. It's with the Board of Selectmen now, for their approval.
Okay.
So this pool is out of jurisdiction,
Yeah.
but it is on the plan authorized. So I said, let's just acknowledge it as the new,
Yeah, they have one of the homes done now.
over here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, lot 1 is done, lot 2 is the foundation for it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the conditions of the conservation decision reflect 3 and 4.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this conservation restriction is part of it. And then that gift of 122R Highland is another part of it. And both of them were tied to, you can't have a certificate of occupancy for either one or both of these buildings until you get both of those taken
Yeah, I
care of.
remember.
Mm.
So.
This is gonna be hard. This one's easy, this one's being done, but 122R is, got problems.
Okay.
Isn't that the one tied up in bankruptcy? Is it?
It was tied up in bankruptcy. It got picked up by, so they didn't need to vote on that. It was for your information. It was tied up in bankruptcy, it got picked up, and the owners weren't paying there's taxes due on the property.
Oh, good.
Fun.
And it was supposed to be a gift.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, all right, very good. So do we need to continue 55 and 59 Pond Street?
Yeah,
All right, motion to continue 55 and 59 Pond Street to our next meeting, February 4th. We can't vote on it
I don't think we
'cause-
can, we don't have a
no,
quorum, so we
Yeah.
have to
he
continue.
wanted
It's
them
just
to
good.
continue.
by default.
Yeah, he wanted them to continue.
All right. All right, Shovel Shop Pond water quality update. Did we hear anything back from? I saw your email earlier today.
Dave Fields is doing is working with Woodard and Curran on a summary report of the incident
Mm-hmm.
and recommendations, and the report's still being drafted.
Yeah, I watched the selectmen's meeting from the 7th.
Wasn't that fascinating?
Great presentation by Dave and Wood and Curran. The two of
Yeah.
them did a very good job. I had a much better sense of what went on during the process. So I'm glad. I'd be interested to see what the recommendations are. I know there's a great desire to have a better communication about what happened to both the public as well as within the town administration as well. So that we probably should be on a discussion list, at least a notification list. Although I'm sure you were aware. I don't think the board. My own personal opinion is the board doesn't have to be aware per se of something like that, but you certainly have to be aware.
I was.
I assumed you were.
Yeah, I was aware. I was aware all the way through the process. It didn't, but there was no regulatory role for the Conservation Commission, and there was no emergency that the commission had to help abate.
Yeah, we had no jurisdiction over whatever was going on.
Yeah, though we had no control, and I do think that the commission should have been notified, especially considering that we own the property, so we're stakeholders in it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm glad to hear that the Board of Selectmen is going to take a look at the communication policies, and I definitely think stakeholders in an event such as this should be notified. Even though we had, there was nothing we could have done because it was really a matter of reporting to DEP and EPA, and it was taken care of by the time we did hear about it, essentially. But I think communication can be key. Hopefully, it'll be improved going forward.
And I'd like you all to know, I spoke to Michael about this too. You can always, if you don't have my cell phone number, you can always text and call. No matter where I am, I'll get back to you. Because the problem, you shouldn't be caught flat-footed when I know something that can help you.
Well, it was tough too. It was during the holidays. There was a lot going on.
I don't care. I don't care. It's, I won't call you back if I'm at the theater. It doesn't happen that often.
I think certainly, informing us, given that it was our property, I think that's a big key thing here.
Yeah, the not informing on my part was the December 18th meeting was, was the only meeting it would have happened. And if you remember, frazzled look.
Well, you were chief note taker and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were in Frothingham Hall, and it's like, I was my bad.
That's okay.
It's okay. No harm, no foul. All right, so the MACC conference, I'm planning on going. Rory, sounds like you're planning on going. Andrew's going. Don't know if the other guys plan on going. Some interesting sounding sessions in there.
There is a handbook. That's the second thing. Is there a table of contents? Did you give them the table of contents? Okay. So this handbook, the Conservation Commission has, it's got lots and lots of stuff in it. This handbook is an electronic resource, and it's got lots of information in it.
Oh, I remember seeing this at one of the previous.
And the Conservation Commission has access to it. So if you want the password, if you want to be me for the day, you're fine. You're welcome. God forbid if more than one of us are on this. If more than one of us log on at the same time, the second one won't get on. So, non-peak hours.
Okay.
I only accessed
I don't remember what I have access to now. That they gave me.
This is a $15.
I know they gave me a year free of something because I got my certificate.
It would probably be this.
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, okay, nice.
I have a login and everything else.
But in the future, we will always keep one in the office.
Yeah.
Great.
And Keith looked into whether or not there was another way of handling getting access around, and this might be the best way.
Okay, sounds good.
So keep that. Each one of those has really, really, really detailed. You can go online and see the table of contents.
Okay.
And if ever you want to get in, just let me know.
All right, that sounds good.
Or if you ever want it, just to put on your folder.
Yeah.
Let me know.
So we didn't have reg discussion on the agenda tonight, but I anticipated talking about it a little bit, at least as far as a plan for going forward this year. Though we're missing, 3/5 of the board. But basically, I think we need to circle back around, see what we've done, what we've talked about, reaffirm some things, reaffirm some priorities, to have a plan for talking about these things going forward. And I know Bill had some research he wanted to present to us. It sounds like he'll be at the next meeting, so hopefully we'll hear from him then.
We have we have regs that were reviewed by town council. He made one minor change, I think, to it.
Yeah, there were a couple minor edits.
So
I'd like to see that kind of reaffirmed so we can put that in the book, move it forward.
Yeah, let's get a hearing on if there's more feedback for it, let's hear it and let's keep moving forward. But I think we've got material where we could actually hit the ground running with a lot of this right now.
I think so.
Take a look at his comments on the fee regs. He thought that our definitions were vague.
Yes, I agree. We have to go back to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we can talk about that in detail at the next meeting.
If it's not already in your packet, I'll put.
I saw it in here.
Oh, they are in there?
Yeah. Notes on potential changes to wetland regs.
Okay, so every packet has those then, and they have the current versions of what is on the table.
Okay.
It's in these packets.
So I guess anybody who's interested in the discussions on potential wetland regulation changes, pay attention to the next agenda, because it'll be an agenda item, and we'll start talking about it, and hopefully we'll schedule a public hearing for that first round of regulation modifications sometime soon. Anything else unanticipated, guys?
There's a box settlement agreement, again, a second one for 80 Prospect. The first one didn't fly.
Oh.
DEP didn't approve it.
Okay.
The
Who did? Oh, DEP didn't approve it.
Yeah, there's a policy that you can't ask for more than the commission had a chance to view.
Mm-hmm.
The second proposal came in late last week. I have it. I'll be talking to DEP about their ideas of it, and if it's able to go to public, if it's able to go into a public session, then I'll bring it for discussion.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll just talk hypothetically about it.
Okay. Sounds good. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.